All right, made these Ranger coins this year for our Bat Cave camp out, getting a little bit into the plate production, how to lay it out, and then using up some of my scrap wood. So that's kind of how this video is coming together. Lots of fun. All right, I'm getting ready for a Bat Cave camp out again this year, and I made a bunch of these medallions last year, and so I updated the date on it, and I really forgot about how I was doing that, and I couldn't even remember it. I was doing it. I had made over like 100 of these, but I just would make them sporadically in the last couple of years, and so I was coming over thinking, how I do that? Well, anyway, so I made a jig and I've recreated this. So I'm giving myself a reminder video on how I did it. So if I forget about it next year, then I'll know something about it. Anyway, what I want to do is to take this little wooden nickel. It's the size of it is basically 2.75 inches wide by 20 inches long. It's the size of the board, and the center's in the middle. And we're going to take this piece right here, and then we just got one layer, and we've got some tool paths that we've set up for it. Here they are right here. I did do a cut off jig profile, which is right here. So that I took a piece of 1/4 inch plywood, cut out this thing so that these boards will fit in there. And then I've got some cam actions that go off to the side so they hold it down into place. So we'll turn that one off. Profiles. Okay, laser cut. Okay, there's my laser cut. It's just basically just a 3.5 watt laser, and it's just engraving this on the cedar and maple. And that part of it's going fine. That's just text. It's pretty straightforward on that. That's would be the first thing that I would cut. Second thing I'll cut will be the bevel, and it's just basically going to go around here and cut a V bit, 60-bit bevel on there. Let's look at the settings on here. And power is 100%, 60%. Cut on. I'm not doing a hatch fill on it. I'm just basically going around the layers of it, and it's doing fine. And there's my laser, and it'll calculate that, and there it is there. So anyway, let's go back over here and we'll look at this one right here. 2D view. It's again just the outside. This is the V60 bit. It's only going to be cutting down that deep, not very deep. One pass. It's going to be right on that line there. It's going to cut that out to that point. So that's good enough there. And so that's just a V bit going right around the edge of it. And so we've got that one calculated, and it's all good to go. Let's go back over here and look at the last one, which is the profile cut out the coins. And this one, I'm going to cut down to 2.92, which is just a little over 1/4 inch. I'm going to cut through the coins. I'm going to do it in 2 passes. I'm going on the outside right, going on that, and then it is also I've added tabs to it. There's 4 tabs that will tab to this, and then there's no ramping or anything, so we'll do the calculate on that. So that's all good. Okay, so we have this all set up. We've got one on the sheet, and all of my tool paths are created, so it's good to go. I'm going to highlight this whole option here, and we're going to just go out here. I've just got one on there, and what we're going to do is we're going to create a plate production. And what I'm doing here is I've defined the size of my board that's in there. It's 2 3/4 inches thick by 20 inches long. My medallions will be 2.2 by 2.2, basically squared. So that's the plate size or the medallion size, or it could even be the size of a plaque or whatever you want to put in there. Left margin is there, and I've got equal margins going all around it, and then the spacing between them is 1/4 inch. And then I'm telling it to create the tool pass. In this case, I've done this a little bit different. If you looked at this name on this, it's got the 2 exclamation marks on each side, and then the name. This is a field. It's a variable field, and what they do is they let you take and put different names in here. These I've got 8 plates that are right here, and they're all the same. Just because I'm doing this all the same, but I could very easily put Mark Jones in place of this one, Steve Jones in place of that, and so on. And it would cut individual medallions with that name right in this one spot between the 2 exclamation marks. But in this case, we're just going to use Southern Missouri because I'm wanting it to create a bunch of generic coins, and I'm just wanting it to create 8 at a time. and calculate that. So this is how I'm doing this, because this tool will automatically do it. So we're gonna look at that. Over here to the side here, it created 3 tool paths, and up here on this thing here, it created this sheet here. So let's go out and look at it, and I'm going to turn off all the tool paths so we can look at it here. Tool paths are all off, and these are all basically the same. I mean, there's no difference in them. The data was the same, so it didn't really change it. I could very easily went up to that Southern Missouri and changed a couple of them, put some people's names on it, and customized it. But as you can see, there's 8 of them. They're all individually spaced, centered on your board pretty much, and they're ready to go. So that's created the tool paths for that. This is 1, and now this is for 8. So then we would do is just go save these tool paths and go down here and save that, and it's going to create those for the cut. And one way that I do it, of course, is I just highlight, go down here to save tool paths. I highlight the one tool path, get my name right on there, and then I select it and make sure that it's this one would be the laser. Then the next 2 would be just the CNC inch tap. So you need to make sure that's right. But I do the 3 at one time. And also, of course, put the profile cutout jig all on there, and I save them to a thumb drive on a D drive. And I think I got that over here. Yeah, basically I just put it on a D drive, put that in there. I also put the same file that I'm working on in there, and then I'll copy this to my desktop when I'm done working with it. So anyway, that works out real well, and that works good. If you're wanting to do plaques, you can put different field names in there. You can import a file, just a text file, and it's basically a text file with just all the data on one line. And if each field, if you've got more information, import, you separate it with a comma. A little bit of information on this file that you would import. The files, they'll come from a spreadsheet. You can type them in like a text editor or WordPad or Word or anything like that. Just needs to be generic text. And then basically everything needs to be separated by a comma and a comma delimited file, like the first name, comma, last name, comma, outpost number, comma, church name. And the last one doesn't have to have a comma. But anyway, these are like your headings. And generally every file that's created by a CSV or a comma delimited will have that. Then comes your data. And you mark comma, Jones comma, 167, which is the outpost number, comma, and the name of the church, Ozark Assembly, and so on, Rob, comma, Batchman, comma. So the commas delimit the data. And then where you want this to show up on your layout, you would put in the text field when you're creating it in Vectric, it's exclamation mark, the first name, which is the field, and then your last name. And so this would basically put this information right there in that format. Wherever you put it, on your Vectric layout, it would supplement this whenever you're doing plate production work. And that is how that works. And so this is a pretty cool tool. Going back to the you got the choice of the 1, and there it is there. Creates the 1 tool path. Once you get that all lined out and ready to go, it's a pretty good deal. But you'd have to do all your tool paths, get everything going, make sure it's working, make sure all your tabs are in place, and then this thing will just quickly recreate it, and you'll get 8 of them going. Takes on this file, I think it took 34 minutes to laser burn, about a minute, well, not quite a minute and a half for the Vcarve of the chamfer on this, and then to cut it out at less than a minute and a half to cut them out. So about 36 minutes or so to cut 8 of these out. Anyway, it works good, and the only thing is you need to keep these separated from the original so that you know what they are, because that can confuse you when you get ready to cut. And I think that's it for plate production. All right, these are called Ranger coins, and what they are is they're kind of like a little medallion or like a patch. Basically, we'll give them out as a souvenir of the event, and this is how I make a group of them. I made 51 at this time. All right, just fired this thing up. Got this jig set up with these cams on it, and it's the center of the workpiece is the center. It talks about how long it takes, 33 minutes to cut with a laser, and then 1.5 minutes the V-bit, and then about 3 minutes to use the cutout tool. The laser engraving for 8's taking 33 minutes. Yeah, we're at 98%, so about 34 minutes. And it'll be ready to put the cutters in. All right, we're using the chamfer bit, and it's going around here and it's cutting this out. It's kind of noisy, so I just went ahead and thought, well, you won't want to listen to that. But basically, I just go around one, and it'll buzz around through there and go through all 8 of them, and it does it in about a minute, and a little bit under a minute and a half, and does that pretty quickly. So that works out real well. All right, just went down through there in about a minute and a half and cut out the 1.49 seconds, and put the V-bit 60 chamfer around the coins, and we're going to change that bit out and move it to the down cut bit, spiral 1/8. All right, that bit's loaded. I'm going to send it back over down to where 0 is. Go down. And then we're going to use the plate and put the plate underneath there. And we got that done just about. Okay, that's done and that's ready to go. And we'll do the cutout on the coins. All right, we're doing the cutout on the coins, and so I've lowered the hood on the closure, and this thing is going to town. Looks like I put the closure right on the end of the touch probe, but this is basically going around. It's cutting some 3D tabs out as it goes, and it goes around each one of those medallions twice. It's an 1/8 inch downcut bit, and I use the downcut so that it would be real smooth cutting down. And then the boards that I'm using, I'm not cutting all the way through them, so I don't have to worry about the bottom cut. But I do want it to be smoother around the top. So after it goes around one of them twice, then it moves on. And while that's carving those out, I'm getting ready to sand them, put them on a table saw, and then put the final coat on these in here. So 2, 4, 6, 8, so 16 cut, and finish, so I can sand them and finish them pretty much before the other set comes out. So it takes me about maybe 15 minutes to sand them and finish them, and I got a little time for a break, so it works out pretty good. And there we go. And here in a minute I'll take that board, it's a little bit over 3/4 or a little under 3/4. This is all scrap board, and I'll run it over there. They're all the same length and width and thickness, or width, but not the thickness, a little bit different. So I'll run that on there, and then we'll move it over to the bandsaw and then onto the sander. All right, there's another 8. So that'll make 24 that's made here in a little while. So I'll put another. All right, I cut that on that one of them new Lowe's 6X blade, 6x blaster. Kind of impressed with it. So it just goes right through there, and of course it's cedar, but it burns. I mean, goes right through it, no burning. I mean, it's almost no sawtooth on it, which is amazing. So outstanding on that new Lowe's brand of blades. All right, once again, I'll cut these up into sections too, and then cut them out with a bandsaw. Okay, got them cut up. Now I'm going to cut them out each individually and get them ready for the sander. Okay, while I was over there sanding on the sander, I'm cutting out on the bandsaw for this clip, and so this one's ready. Let's go ahead and put the chamfer bit in it. All right, all we got to do is now we've zeroed the bit, and we're ready to send it on to chamfering those. I'm going to load the All right, when I unloosen my bits, I just take the collet and handle the collet, because sometimes the bits are hot. So when I'm changing out, all my tools that I'm using have a collet on them already. My laser's got a collet on it. Finger's burnt because of that laser. So all I gotta do is send it back over to the 0. And in this case, set my height, and away we go. All right, up there's my little heater, and this is pretty nice. I just basically have it on a switch. Turn the power off to that. And turn the power off to my shop vac. Anyway, all I need to do is when I get heat on that is just turn the electricity on, press the fire button, the little red button, and hold it for about 10 seconds, and then she goes to heating 30 to 60 BTU. I generally leave it on 30 unless it's really cold in the morning. But anyway, it works good. So while it's cutting, the laser parts are all being cut and are burnt in on that one. And then we'll move on to finishing the sanding of those over there. I did want to say that if you're using any of these devices for USB, I use a USB cord. It's a like a little $4, $5 cord, and all it is it extends the USB plug from the device up here so that your wear and tear is on this instead of it being there. So you'll see that in my videos, but that works out real good. And because I don't know about you, but I sometimes take them things back and forth 2 or 3 times before I start getting it cut and make some modifications on it. So all right. Well, after using plate production and cutting up some cedar boards that were just a little bit small for projects, I was able to come up with 51 of these little Ranger coins, and this is for a prize for the Batcave 2022. And they took 8 of them, took about 36 minutes to machine out in laser, and then it took about another 15 minutes of sanding, and then the clear coats that I put on it front and back, and a couple coats, and then the drying. So I've got about 4.5, 5 hours this little project. It was a lot of fun. Sometimes I was taking the boys' names and putting them on the these are all generic coins. They're just all the same coin. Basically, each one's a little different, of course, because it's cedar wood, but they came out really nice, and it was a good project.